I don't know how much you know about UN Women, but I assume you know a little bit because you are engaged in the business of the UN. And we're quite a young organization. We're the youngest entity of the UN. We were founded by General Assembly resolution in 2010. And we're what in the business language would be called a merger. We were put together by 4 previous parts of the UN system that worked on different aspects of gender equality and women's rights. We were created because the international community and women's groups and civil society women's groups felt that the emphasis of the UN in its work on UN women needed to be strengthened. And it was scattered, it was underfunded, and the idea was to put the different pieces together in an effort to strengthen the efforts within the area of gender equality and women and women's empowerment, and also to streamline and make have it be a part of UN reform, meaning greater, more efficiency and effectiveness, less overlap. And so then we were created as the global champion for women and girls, and we act on the fundamental premise that women and girls worldwide have the right to live a life free of discrimination, violence, and poverty. And that gender equality is not just a right in itself, but it's also central to achieving development in general for everyone. And in addition to women's rights advocates, civil society, many governments were champions of creating UN Women, and the US government were one of those supporters in creating us. Where are we? We are today an entity that is spreading its wings. We started out with 17 country offices. Today we now have around 50. We are trying to strengthen our presence in countries where there is demand for our work. We, in addition to those 50 countries, give or take a few, where we have a real office presence, we also have lighter presence in the form maybe of a gender advisor or others in the UN country teams in an additional 25 countries. So we operate in a total of around 75 countries. And we're not that many. We are in total around 600 UN women staff members divided between headquarters and field. In addition, there are people on local contracts, so the total number of heads is slightly bigger. And now, what are our priorities? Gender equality, the rights of women, it's a broad issue. We know, for example, how important it is that girls get education in order to have a chance in life and control over their own life. Now, UN Women doesn't work with education. Why is that? I mention it because it's to show you that we try not to duplicate and be where others are already and already are doing a good job. We have UNICEF working on behalf of girls. We have UNESCO working with a specific mandate on education. And both of those agencies are very, very dedicated to girls and young women's rights to education. We support, of course, the right to education for women, but we do it more in the form of advocacy, not in formal programming. But here are the priorities that UN Women works on. We work to increase women's participation and leadership positions in politics, meaning in parliaments and in governments, and also in the private sector, in all areas of society. We strongly believe that women need to have a voice and a say and be in the important decision-making bodies at a minimum critical mass, so to speak. So that's one priority. The second priority is work to end violence against women and girls in all its forms and in all the places it occurs. And that touches upon another aspect of our work. We are not a development agency per se. We are a special entity with a universal mandate. Violence against women is a universal issue. It is found in every single country on this planet. And likewise, we cannot pinpoint one single country where gender equality is fully achieved. So our mandate goes beyond being a development agency. It's a universal mandate. A third area in which we work is to strengthen women's role in peace and security processes, building on the Security Council Resolution 1325, which was a groundbreaking resolution passed in 2000, acknowledging the need for including women in peace processes and rebuilding efforts. Then we work on enhancing women's economic empowerment, their economic independence. And lastly, we work on making gender equality central to national development planning and budgeting in all countries. So if that wasn't enough, we also have a coordination mandate. We are tasked with seeing to it so that the whole UN system does its part in advancing gender equality. It wasn't so that when UN Women was established, then the others could say, oh, we can take that off our list and do the real work. No. On the contrary, the creation of UN Women was also meant to ensure that the whole system lifts and does its part to ensure gender equality, each within their mandates and their special areas of work. And I think I've been speaking quite a long time now, and you may want to interrupt me with another question, but I'm happy to come back to some concrete examples of the work we do in these areas. Would you like me to do that right away, or should I come back to it maybe?
Go ahead, and I'll ask the next one when you're finished.
Okay. I just thought I'd give you really a few examples from here and there on what this mandate and our priorities, what it actually means in practice. Well, increasing the number of women in politics and in legislative bodies, parliaments around the world. UN Women has worked for a long time alongside women's groups, legislators in Morocco and in Senegal and in Algeria and in several other countries. And in Morocco, for example, these efforts have helped increase the number of women in parliament from 10 to 17%. Now, 17%, it's still not a lot, but it's much more than 10, so it can only go upwards from here. And in Mexico, through the UN Women Fund for Gender Equality, a broad coalition of women candidates for all parties were trained, were supported in running for office, also leading to a significant increase in the number of women legislators and in a doubling of the number of women mayors throughout Mexico. In the Solomon Islands, we have established family violence and sexual offense units with coordinators in every province. Solomon Islands is one of the countries in the world with really high prevalence of violence against women. And it's a place where we have been working on a very practical level to ensure, to set up structures to address, to prevent and to address violence against women throughout the country. And UN Women Advisors were active in United Nations teams, including in Darfur, in Libya, in South Sudan, in Haiti, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Cote d'Ivoire, to advocate for women's voices and involvement in post-conflict elections. That's part of our mandate on the 1325 agenda, the Security Council Resolution agenda. And to do all this, we don't work alone. We work with the rest of the UN system very strongly, with UNFPA, with UNDP, with UNICEF, all depending on the different issues. We work with civil society, meaning women's groups, the women's movements in many countries. We work with legislators, and of course we work with governments. In every country where we are there at the invitation of the government.